Hello, everyone. It's Heather. Welcome back to Together with Heather. I'm so excited that you're here. Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody is staying warm and staying healthy, just enjoying life, really. We're going to have a short conversation tonight, only because I have some other meetings that I need to get to, but I'm sure this conversation will be really intriguing, and if there's more that we need to follow up with, we sure can. So let's get started with our education corner, because education is something I'm extremely passionate about. Just a little bit of a background of the work that I've done. I've worked in Indian education for almost 12 years. My main role there was to work with the upper levels, so grades 7 through 12, and I did a lot of the college and career readiness. And then I also work over at NDSU doing multicultural recruitment, and I oversee our cultural diversity tuition waiver. So the reason I share that with you is because I get the transition and the bridge from high school to higher ed. So I just want to kind of put that out there. If there's any of you who are in your junior year, sophomore year, senior year, kind of exploring what college might look like and how to find a good college fit for you, just reach out to our Facebook page, Together with Heather, put your questions, and we'll do our very best to get you some answers. I usually like to give information in this space, but today I just wanted to give the opportunity for you to reach out to me. I feel like we have a lot of kids who are exploring higher ed for the very first time in their life or in their family, and there's a lot of questions that you just don't know you should ask. And so we'll be getting a little bit better at putting some tips and tricks on our Facebook page, but feel free to reach out if there's anything that you're thinking about. But more than that, I want you to share. I want you to share with us if you are in school somewhere, if you graduated from school, if you got accepted to a school. Share that on our Facebook page. Let us know where you're going. We want to cheer you on. We want to share in your excitement and your celebration, because this is a really exciting time. We've all been through a lot, and we all know that education can be a tool for us to kind of level up in our life and help our communities grow and thrive as well. So reach out to us, share your pictures, let us know. I'm a double dragon from MSUM. I earned my bachelor's and my master's there, so go Dragons. But let's move on to our bigger conversation and what we're going to talk about. So it's about plant-based eating. And if you would have asked me even like 6 months ago if I would ever go down this route for my food, my life, I would have said no, like never. I can tell you this was something that I always thought was really hard. It didn't make sense to me. But I struggle with migraines and have struggled with migraines since I was 6 years old. And it's been something that's been awful. I mean, I have migraines multiple times a week. I sometimes can't even get out of bed because they hurt so bad. And so I really looked into it in the idea that I have to look at food as my fuel for my body. And I need my body to do a lot of things with the work that I do, with the emotional and mental capacity that I need to be effective in my job. So I started to research and look at different ways to just cleanse your body and have healthy eating habits. And plant-based eating was one of the things that rose to the top for me. So I am very new at this. I am really excited to talk to you about it, but I have to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about it. So I have brought two guests on with me, if you want to bring them on. And they are going to help talk a little bit more about it. I have Wendy and I have Kayla, and we'll go and do some introductions. But I just think it's really important because it's kind of one of those areas that people get into plant-based eating for different reasons. Like mine was completely medical, but there's a lot of other reasons behind it. So let's jump into the conversation. Let's do some introductions. Wendy, do you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Wendy Pilot, and I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. I have been plant-based. I also call myself vegan for March will be 9 years. And I feel that it's been a great change in my life. I feel really healthy. I feel light. I feel really good. I would encourage plant-based eating to people out there. And I mean, I went vegan for animals because I love animals and that's why I did it. But with doing it for animals, I also got an environmental change, right? I'm helping the environment by being vegan, and it's also healthier. So I got those two other benefits as well. So I'm also a newly retired 4 months. I've just retired. I was a pharmacist for many years. And I'll talk a little bit about helping patients get off some of their medications by using a plant-based diet. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I feel like we just fill ourselves with medication so much. It's crazy. Even as I was looking at what vitamins to take
Mm-hmm.
in the casings of the vitamins, like I've never been so diligent at looking at ingredients. And I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Oh yeah. And when I find one, then it's like I just get all the things. So yeah, we will come back to that for sure.
Yeah.
So Kayla, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Kayla Berg, and I have the pleasure of serving with Heather in the Minnesota State Legislature. I live in Burnsville, and I've been vegan since I would say late May. And my best friend from high school kind of got me into it. She's been vegan for 4 years, and she does it largely for the same reason that Wendy started doing it. She just loves animals, and it just really hurt her heart to see how the animals were treated and to think about that's what she had put on her plate. And she had been trying to rope me into it for quite a while, and I was kind of resisting it. And then she said in one conversation, she's like, I can't believe with your politics that you're not vegan. And that really hit me because I thought, oh my gosh, like you're right. It does fit in with my politics, and largely the biggest piece of that is the factory farming that we do here in the United States. Not only does it rape our land, the way that they treat workers, the way that our family farmers and organic farmers have been pushed out of the equation. Is really important to me. It's really offensive to me, as well as Wendy touched on the environmental piece of it as well, because factory farms are one of the biggest contributors to climate change. And so it's one small way that I can mitigate climate change.
Sold. I mean, those are the things like,
Can I just add on, Kayla, and where they put these factory farms also are usually where people who have low economic status, they're poor. These factory farms have pits of urine and feces that sometimes they spray into the atmosphere. And many of the people who live around these factory farms have health conditions. Asthma is like one of the top health conditions that people who live around factory farms have because they're breathing that air. So that's another point I would just like to bring up. So
that's so gross. Like, I mean, sometimes I feel like you don't know what you don't know. You know, like I think that we're under this idea sometimes that like I did Whole30 for a long time. Lean meats, fruits, and vegetables. Like that was where it was at for me. And I mean, I swear every time I have these conversations, I just learn more and more, and it makes me feel like this is the right decision. I mean, to play a role in protecting Mother Earth. I think that that's right. Like that's one of the messages we have. So I do. So let's talk about that a little bit. You know, the environmental impact on all of this. I really believe in clean water. And one thing I'm learning is like just the waste that's being distributed. I know that there are some factories that are along some pretty major rivers, and there's not great tools for clean water dispense from them. And that really bothers me. And so I just feel like there's this piece where we can't say we care about clean water and the energy or, you know, our environment, but yet our actions are proving differently. So that's about all I have on that topic. So I'm going to hand it over to you two. Wendy, if you want to kind of go in a little bit more on that, and then Kayla just follow up with her. Okay.
Well, they say a true, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kayla. Were you going first? Okay. A true person who really cares about the environment should be vegan. Right here in Minnesota, on the Mississippi River, where the Mississippi River and the Minnesota River meet, you could actually see the difference in the color of the water. Mm. And mainly it's because of the farms that are up north that the factory farms and the fertilizer that they use and all kinds of of things up north is found in the Minnesota River. So you could actually see the line in the river. But the environmental factor is that it takes hundreds and hundreds of gallons of water to make a hamburger, and the calories that you're getting and the benefit, the non-benefit of eating that hamburger that's going to clog your arteries and give you really wasted calories is horrible. Where you could eat more of a plant-based diet, which still uses water, but to a very lower extent. So just using the water. Just when we go to J. Selby's. It's a vegan restaurant in St. Paul on Victoria Street. He usually posts right by the bathroom that how many gallons of water per week that they save by making plant-based foods. So I always like to look at that, and I usually like take a picture of it and I'll post it online and say, look at all this water that's being wasted by, eating animals and dairy, because, besides the environment, there's so many other factors. Like I said before, being a pharmacist, I've seen people, change their diet and be able to get off their high blood pressure medications, diabetic patients being able to use less insulin or get off their insulin, people who have high blood pressure, right? And their cholesterol, that's a big one too. People being able to get off their cholesterol medication because of a healthy plant-based diet. So, but there are a lot of people out there, honestly, who would just rather, eat the cheeseburger and French fries and eat everything and take a pill. So that's really, really up to you. I would rather eat a healthy plant-based diet. And like you said, Heather, you're fueling your body with good foods and healthy things. Yeah. So
Yeah.
And it is very hard in the beginning. I remember 9 years ago when I started, I was making mistakes after mistakes. Like I ordered a cappuccino and I was like, what? This has milk in it. What am I doing? And that happened to me over and over again. But after 9 years, I pretty much have it down, what my body needs, what kind of foods I should be eating, and feeling good. I just went to my primary care doctor. I'm 60 years old, and she said that, she usually doesn't see many 60-year-olds who are at their ideal body weight and who have muscle mass. So I'm proud of that, and I'll put that out there, with a good cholesterol level and, just feeling good. So.
That is good. Okay, Kayla, I'm going to let you go to talk about the environmental piece and why that became more important to you.
Thanks. Yeah, I wanted to build off a couple of things that Wendy mentioned. Also, J. Selby's is amazing.
Yes.
So for me, I decided to become vegan actually right in the middle of COVID. And I think we need to talk about the fact that these sort of super viruses are in large part due to what we eat and what we're doing to the environment. And the more that human beings encroach on the habitats in the Amazon basin, in other areas in the world, we encroach onto the habitats of the species that live there. And because we do that, we bring back these types of viruses and diseases because they are built to withstand this type of a virus. We are not. And that's why it's affecting us the way that it does. And this is not the last one we're going to see. And there's a direct correlation between the way we eat and what we're experiencing right now. I wanted to lift up one other piece in terms of really realizing that being vegan is a privilege. Because if we talk about food deserts and food insecurity, what is affordable? A cheeseburger at McDonald's is what, 89 cents, right? I have spent upwards of $50
Yes.
buying ingredients for one vegan meal. And so we are talking about something that's really healthy. We are talking about something that we should educate people on so that they realize the choices that they have and the impact of those choices. But we also need to recognize that at this point in time in this country, it is more expensive to switch over to this kind of lifestyle than it is to just go get that fast food, which, by the way, there's still vegan fast food that I eat. But I've also done a fair amount of traveling in the global South, and witnessing the food insecurity there really opened my eyes. But also witnessing the innovation in farming that they're doing in specifically, I'm thinking about a farm we visited in Colombia. Is really amazing and completely doable, and that's also another piece of the politics and how sort of we're held hostage as consumers by some of these giant factory farms and corporations, and right. And so also going back to what Wendy said in terms of it being really hard, there are one way that you do like Whole30 or keto or being vegan is food prep. And if you don't food prep, you find yourself in trouble. I think I sent you a picture, Heather, the other day. I had pickles and peanuts for lunch because I hadn't prepared. And that's kind of all there was. And so that's another piece that's also really important if you're going to make this lifestyle work, and just recognizing that, yeah, sometimes you're out in the world and you're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize there was, point, 0.0003% of milk in this, in whatever it is. Right. But just like, it does take time. It does take effort. It does, really, you become very intentional about what you put in your body.
Yeah. So I want to follow up with it a little bit just about environment piece. That's great. I'm all on board with that. But I want to talk about how good I feel. So the migraines were the reason. That's why I decided to see if this was going to make a change. And now I'm telling you, I've only been doing this for firmly 1 month. My transition started 2 months ago. I, knock on wood, have not had a migraine in almost a month. I mean, I've had a headache one day, but other than that, I'm telling you, that has never, ever happened in my life. My joints feel better. This isn't going to make sense to everybody. I think it'll make sense to some of us, but I don't feel as sluggy, that there's this gunk in your body. You just don't realize that getting up in the morning and getting going, I'm still tired, but it feels a little bit easier. And my joints aren't so painful all the time. And so it's so crazy. And it makes sense that what we put in our body fuels us in either an unhealthy or healthy manner. And so that's really got me sold on it. And I had a friend, we were talking about it. He's been plant-based for a while. And I was like, well, do you miss things? I'm not going to lie. I am craving a good taco and a burger and all the things. And he said that, yeah, he misses that stuff, but no meal tastes better than how good he feels. And I'm there. That's how I feel. So food prep is an important part of that. I fail at that often. Kayla actually is my savior because she makes meals and just puts them in little containers and brings them to the office for the week. And I'm good to go. But let's talk about recipes. Let's talk about are there places that you go or different grocery stores that you go to? You mentioned different restaurants and stuff, but let's talk about where do you find the food? How do you make this maybe more cost effective or cost efficient for people? Kayla, do you want to go first on that?
Sure. So I think it's very important for me to point out that I'm not always the one behind the food I bring you. I have a friend who I've sort of introduced this lifestyle to as well. And so we enjoy cooking together. That is kind of something that we've been able to share. And it's one of the sort of more fun byproducts of this lifestyle, and really being creative. We did a vegan Thanksgiving and it was incredible. You just adjust some of the ingredients and it can be really satisfying and really tasty. And so yeah, there's a great website called The Minimalist Baker where we find a lot of our recipes. But also, you can go on YouTube, and there are all sorts of vegans that have shows on there. Lauren Toyota is a great one. She has a great cookbook. Um, in terms of sort of affordability, that gets a little bit tricky depending on how picky you are. When I'm in a bind, you can go to Taco Bell and get the bean burrito for like $1 something. You just ask for no cheese, and you can put that in your belly. It's not going to make you feel very good, like we were talking before, but or you go to Subway and get the veggie sub. There are things that are accidentally vegan that you can get if you're kind of running around and you need a quick fix. But I think you just kind of have to make the same kind of choices that you would shopping with a different eating lifestyle. Find the specials. I like certain things that you can only get at co-ops, and sometimes those are a little bit more expensive than just produce you can get at Cub. There's a great cheese that's CHAO. And they make plant-based cheese, which is ridiculous. And it's $7.99 at one grocery store, $5.99 at Target, for just a little pack of slices that make amazing grilled cheese. But you sort of have to make those choices, right? But if you're thinking about the fact that you're not spending almost $12 on a package of 2 chicken breasts, or $7 on a pound of ground beef, then those, right? Like if you do the analysis between how you used to shop and how you now shop, and you don't have to go crazy and make the fanciest meals that we have where the ingredients get expensive. But really, honestly, the trade-off that you're talking about with how you feel, I've been diagnosed with childhood migraines. I've had them for over 40 years. I can't believe I said that publicly. And you're right. Over the past several months, I still get them, but largely they're my fault, as in drinking too much coffee and not enough water, not getting enough sleep, which Heather, you can probably
Yeah.
with this new job, right? But overall, I have seen a decline in my headaches as well. So yeah, when you're offsetting the cost of the food, the change in your lifestyle with how you feel, it doesn't kind of seem like you're missing out a lot. And by the way, a lot of things are accidentally vegan, like Oreos, potato chips, right? Like
Wait, what?
you
Hold
don't
on.
French fries.
right? French fries, chips, and
Oreos?
salsa.
Oreos
Yes.
are
Not every single one of them, but most of them are. Yeah.
Most of them Nutter Butters too.
what? Mind blown. See, we have some perks still in the world. All right. How about you, Wendy? You've
Well,
been for a long
you
time.
know,
So-
yeah, 9 years in March. As far as recipes go, I grew up in an Italian family. I cooked with my grandmother and my mother, and there was no such thing as a recipe. We just cooked,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I do still, and I've always done. I will like go online and look up recipes, and then just kind of I've never really followed a recipe to cook, but I will definitely look to get some ideas. Baking also, I love to bake, and I've found wonderful recipes to make delicious cakes and brownies and cupcakes and all kinds of things, and make them vegan. And everybody loves them, and they're really, really delicious. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, I have a cookbook too that I reference. It's called Thug Kitchen, called Thug Kitchen. Can't keep it around kids though, because they curse while they put the recipe in. It's kind of funny, but I'll get some ideas from there. And I think really a lot of the mainstream grocery stores, Cub, Target, are really carrying so many more vegan options in there. I can't believe it sometimes, and it makes me so happy that I see that. Trader Joe's also had a thing online that said, "How do you eat vegan for $30 per week?" And you could go on the Trader Joe's line. It's really, I think it's good for people who are beginning, because they'll put the recipe, exactly what you buy, and that it would cost you $30 a week to eat vegan. So if you're really in a tight spot to afford food, you could definitely eat cheaply on a vegan diet. Beans are cheap, right?
Yeah.
You can buy vegan cheese.
I'll tell you what I did, Wendy.
You're really,
it wasn't the best idea, but I made the biggest pot of chili and like lasted me a whole week. It was so spicy. That's the one thing that I learned is like, as you move into some of these recipes, you use a lot of spices.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge fan of spice. And I was like, whew, it was like my mouth was on fire with the chili, but little things like that. And you can make pots of things and then they heat up well later. So it's that.
I freeze. I have a freezer full of stuff that I've made, soups and chilies that I've made. I've made homemade raviolis with cashew cheese filling. Really, really delicious things. And the Thanksgivings, I've always had Thanksgiving here, except this last one because of COVID, but I make a big spread for Thanksgiving, and I make my own pastry dough, and I fill it with like a meat substitute with onions and garlic and peppers and like a sauce, and I roll it in the pastry dough and roll it into like a circle, and when you cut it, it looks like that spiral, and that's kind of like our meat. And I make homemade gravy, and we had it. Oh, let me just tell you this really funny story. So my girlfriend, big carnivore, we went to her house for Thanksgiving one year. She had the turkey. I brought my own food, and we had a contest. Whose gravy was the real turkey gravy? So we had, I don't know, there's about 12 people there. Mine gravy and her gravy. Guess whose gravy won as the real turkey gravy?
Yours. I'm going to guess.
She mentioned, this is like 8 years ago, and she still mentions it today, that Wendy, you won that contest and your gravy was better than mine. So a lot of times people don't even know. And I think if you tell them it's plant-based or you tell them it's vegan, they kind of shy away just because they're not really sure what it is, or they're a little bit afraid of it. But if people just eat the food and enjoy it, I think that they really, really will come around, so.
Yeah. I got my son interested in it, not like as a whole thing, but I make smoothies in the morning, with like spinach and or different fruits. Well, when you make it, then it's like green and it maybe doesn't look overly appealing. And he's a teenager. He's like, I'm never going to drink that. I was like, just try it. Like literally just try it. And then now all of a sudden he's like, Mom, when are you going to make that? Your shakes again. And he was like, oh, all of a sudden you like are a green shake junkie with me. But you're right. There's like that stigma that like the food is gross or it's bad. It's actually like, it tastes good. I don't mind it. I will say though, I've had some really awful like microwave meals that's really gross. So I do think that it's better to be like fresh, freshly made, if that's okay. But Wendy, I was gonna say, if Robert's in a ears shout away, we should get him on a delivery train so you can bake the really good things and then Robert can deliver them to me and Kayla at work, and then we can enjoy all of these delicious baked goods.
Absolutely. And, I love to bake. I really do. And since I've been retired, I've cooked more and I've baked more than I ever have. And I really, my happy place is being in the kitchen and kind of just making up recipes and making up my own things. It's been really, really, really great. And yeah, I'm really glad that you're talking about this. This really makes me happy.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's something that, you kind of would hear it every now and then, like somebody's vegan, but I feel like lately, and I don't know if it's just the circles I'm in or just in general, or people are becoming more aware of it. I feel like more people in my life and in my circle, this is how they have eaten or choose to eat. But also I'm with you, Wendy, that there's places that you go, grocery stores, like Target. Okay, I love Target for a lot of reasons. But it's really exciting that I go to the Target here and there's like 3 things of plant-based options, and there's cheeses and there's different things. And I was reading all of these fast food restaurants who are creating vegan options, and just that this is a movement too that's helping to change the way that more people look at food. So I really appreciate that. But the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that this is really hard to do alone. I mean, I think anytime you make a transition, anytime that it's around like your eating habits, I mean, if you think about it, like that's a big part of your life. And so, Kayla, you mentioned it, you have a cooking partner. Wendy, you and Robert do it. I'm going to say Kayla's kind of my cooking partner because they do the cooking and they bring it to me, and that's really great. But just talk about the fact that like doing things like this in general, whether it's vegan, whether it's Whole30, whether it's, venturing down any change in your eating habits, just the importance of having somebody to do that with. Wendy, you can go first on that one.
Yeah, sure. I remember the day I chose to go vegan. I watched a couple of documentaries and I said, you know what, that's it. I am done. I walked down the stairs and I was like crying and I was upset, and Robert was looking at me, and I said to him, that's it. I'm getting rid of every animal product in this house. I went down in the basement. I got a big cooler. I started packing everything up, emptying the freezer. And I said, that's it. I'm vegan. I'm not eating this anymore. This is disgusting with these poor animals. And I mean, he's looking at me like, what is happening? What is going on now? What's happening now? And he just looked at me and he said, I support you. That's what he said. I support you. And that's what he did. And that's how it made it easy. Right. So if I had someone else who was like, I don't care what you do, I'm eating my meat and, whatever. And I always said to him, listen, if you want to eat a pepperoni pizza and order it in, that's fine. But I don't want to shop for this food. I don't want to cook this food. I don't want to touch this food. I don't want this food in my pots and pans in my kitchen. And that's how we've done it. I cook, I keep a vegan house. I cook only vegan food. And by the way, that cooler of food I took to my girlfriend's house, who I won the turkey gravy. So she got to eat all the food. And again, it was hard. It was hard in the beginning. I made a lot of mistakes. But I think that after you just get in, like, I don't even think about it anymore. It's just like part of my life. It's my lifestyle. It's what I do. The one thing I do want to bring up that I think is important is the grain that we feed these animals to eat. We could use all of that grain to get rid of hunger all over the world. Like, we could end hunger all over the world with the grain that we're using to feed the animals that we're eating, that are really, calorie per calorie. We're really not getting that much benefit from the meat that we eat in the United States. So I wanted to just bring that up too. Just another thing to think about, and the benefit of, being plant-based or vegan. And the other thing is, a lot of people don't know the difference between plant-based or vegan, right? People are like, what's the difference? So I call myself vegan because I don't use animal products in my daily life. I don't buy shoes that are made of leather. I do my best. I'll buy cosmetics that are cruelty-free. People sometimes will ask me too, well, you take medicine, you'll take a vaccine, and that's tested on an animal, right? That's another whole controversy and story. But I will say this, I'm not a dummy. And if there's a vaccine like the COVID-19 vaccine that's going to save my life, I'm going to take that vaccine, even if it was tested on an animal. And I will be vegan in my life. So I just wanted to bring those points up.
Mm-hmm. That is true. I mean, there's even like all kinds of different vegan like categories. Like I know that there's some vegans that eat like they'll have their own chickens and eat their eggs because they know
Yeah,
that they're being cared
that wouldn't be vegan though.
No, but there's like this whole chart of like different areas that it's like this weird gray area. Like for me, it's plant-based eating. That's
Okay.
how I am looking at it.
We'll do plant-based.
I'm working on it, Wendy. I'm getting there. Like
That's awesome. I'm like, when I heard that you were when you first kind of said I'm starting a plant-based diet, I was like, oh my God, that's fantastic. I think that's great. I really do.
Well, and it's fun because like it's crazy, like you and Robert and then Kayla, and I have some other friends, and it's like it's just fun to kind of share in the conversations of it. Kayla, talk about how great it is to have somebody to do like your meal prep and just having somebody who kind of is down this journey with you.
Sure. So the genesis of my becoming vegan is different. I actually did it alone, which worked out great for me. My kids are 18 and 20. I've spent a lifetime cooking their meals. This was something that I did for me based on my values. And like I said, I did it during COVID. So I did it largely alone, which made it easier because then I didn't have to make a separate meal for anybody else. But my kids, if I ever try to get them to try something vegan, they're like, nope, I know it's going to taste like sadness and lies. I'm not going to do it. And so they're not particularly thrilled about this journey, but now it is really fun to have somebody to explore this with and cook with, because I'm new. I'm a beginner. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to make it not weird, hanging around Wendy's house waiting for all these delicious baked goods up here. But I am still new, so I'm still learning. And it is fun. I do want to say, like, my best friend who is all in for the animals, she is just really staunch about it, and that's fantastic. I don't mind if my friends or family members, if they eat meat, if they eat vegan 2 or 3 or 4 times a week, but then on the side eat like ethically sourced meat, or that hunt and eat game that they bring home. That doesn't bother me as much as sort of this mass produced disgusting meat that are in the grocery stores. Because if you think about it, have you ever seen a chicken breast these days? There is literally no chicken whose breast is bigger than like our upper body, right? Like it's just not natural, and that is not something you should put on your plate. And so the antibiotics, and Wendy talked about the documentaries. Like if you watch how these chickens, for example, live walking around in their own feces, cannibalizing their other chickens. If you look at mama cows who they take the calf away from immediately and just milk her until she dies for us to consume her milk, which is meant for her babies, and the injuries and the pus and different things in the milk, because that's what's happening when you milk a mother cow to death, right? So watch these documentaries, see how they treat animals. The mother pigs that are just bred over and over and over till they die. They literally lay in what is supposed to be a mechanism for them to safely birth their babies and their piglets, but that's where they're kept, impregnated over and over and over again until like it's gross. And I don't mean to get into the really nasty side of this all, but there's a lot of food for thought. See what I did there? When you try to make this change, there's more than just missing, chicken wings or a burger. I mean, my roommates sometimes cook bacon and it drives me nuts. It smells so good. And I never really ate bacon very often when I wasn't vegan. So yeah, it's, I started out on my own, which was the way I needed to do it, not being responsible for anybody's meals except my own. So to get me going and sort of just begin the journey was helpful for me. And then after it had, I'd been on the journey and I had been living out my values. It was really nice to find somebody that was curious about it and willing to try a bunch of new things, which now you benefit from, Heather.
Yes, Sunday cooking parties. I love them. Okay, I do have one question in the chat that I see, but just what are a couple meal prep ideas? My biggest meal prep idea is pick a day. Do it in a day. Do it at spend your time. Also, cutting up your vegetables. Because what I've learned is if something is just quick to grab, I cut up peppers as little pepper fries and put them in a container in a little bag, or they're reusable bags. But and then it's a snack, because I think that that's the hardest part, is that quick eating. I'm hungry, I need to just grab something to eat. So my quick prep idea is to do it in a day, pick an afternoon and make a list when you go to the grocery store. I just aimlessly wander so often, and then I get home, I was I can't make anything with any of this. So yeah, that's my super beginner tip on meal prep stuff. Wendy, what do you have?
I don't meal prep, and I never really did, except that when I did work, I would make a salad every day for Robert and I. And I'm not talking about just a lettuce and wimpy old lettuce and whatever. I'm talking about a salad that has beets in it and has, cooked beets and has, beans in it and chickpeas or all kinds of really, good thing. Avocado.
Yeah.
Olives and stuff. And, I got so used to just eating the salad, I would put oregano on it. And honestly, for years, I would eat my salad without even any dressing because I wanted to eat the food. I wanted to taste the lettuce. I wanted to eat the beets. I wanted to taste the avocado, and I didn't want to douse it in salad dressing. So for years, and still today, I made a salad today. I did put a little Daya ranch dressing on it, which was really, really good. But yeah, I don't, meal prep. That was really all I did when I worked. I would cut up some, carrots and have some hummus or,
I love hummus.
Like that. But I would kind of just wing it every night in the kitchen. I'd see what I have around and I'd make a meal out of it. So.
Good for you. Me and you are two very opposite sides of how we eat well, because if I had to wing it every night, you don't want to know what I just ate before this meal when I had to wing it from my hotel room. Kayla, how about you?
Yeah, so kind of what we were talking about earlier, the soups that freeze really well. So make that big old pot of squash soup or and then Heather, like you saw, there was a stack for me and a stack for you. The salad, it is almost like a challenge to see how many vegetables I can get in a salad. And how I love to cut up, fresh basil. And so you've got those flavors mingling, and cilantro. I'll just put all the herbs and all the onions and broccoli and cauliflower and all of those things. How much can you actually put in a salad? And it's usually so flavorful and delicious with all the different acids and different pieces of what makes the particular food flavorful. That's really fun to be creative about. But also, do you know how delightful just a sweet potato that you've slow cooked in the oven comes out piping hot? You put the not butter on it and some salt and pepper. It's literally so simple and so filling and delicious. And so if you think about easy things like baked potatoes, baked sweet potatoes, acorn squash, butternut squash, you can just put it in the oven, forget about it, come back 45 minutes later, and you have a piping hot, really delicious meal that is guilt-free. The calories are all good. You need starches in your life as you're trying to balance protein and starch and all the different moving pieces of a well-balanced diet. It takes some planning. And so, yeah, it's almost, you'll come to find out, I hope, that you can really simplify and find really flavorful meals if you haven't had time to cook. Also, I don't have Wendy's talent. I can't just go into the kitchen my mom's a gourmet cook, not vegan, but gourmet cook. And she's like, well, you just put a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And well, sometimes I use this and I'm like, nope, I need a flat out recipe. And even then I screw it up. But you can really find some very simple pieces that are just really, piping hot and good and hearty. That's the word I was looking for. They're hearty, and you don't feel like you're missing out because if you really slow down and like you mentioned at the beginning, Heather, what Mother Earth actually offers us, so much better than what we've tried to do.
Yes, all of the above, all of the things, right? Well, we have to wrap up. So I really appreciate the conversation. I think it's really meaningful to have this conversation, but also just kind of fun. It was fun to hang out with you ladies tonight. So I just want to let everybody know, Together with Heather, first of all, Wendy is the one that named my show. So yay. Thank you, Wendy.
Absolutely.
Robert brings it up any chance he can. He's so proud of that. And so, so Together with Heather is only going to be every other Wednesday from here on out, just with the workload that I have and the efforts that I'm really trying to put forth for the community. It's just easier for me to be here every other week. And then that way I can really give the very best show with the very best content to make meaningful change here using this platform. So thank you all for joining. Stay safe, wear your mask, continue to really take care of each other. I know that we've had a really, really long year and our souls are tired. And I mentioned it yesterday on one of my post on a personal page, but just reach out to somebody, check in with them, tell them you're caring about them or you're thinking about them, because those little things really do go a long ways. Distance has really created a lot of struggles for people. So I encourage all of you to reach out, say hi, let them know you're thinking about them, and really just take care of each other and take care of yourself. Thanks for joining. Bye.